It's midnight somewhere here on this earth. Let's freaking do this. What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday morning. Hopefully you guys are all doing well here on this morning. If you're just waking up, good morning. Hope you guys get to enjoy your eggs, bacon, cereal, coffee, pancakes, whatever you're eating for breakfast here with me here today. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in here on this Monday morning or early Monday morning. If you're on the West Coast like me, I know most of you guys are asleep probably, but for all those that are staying awake here at 3:21 a.m., appreciate everybody for tuning in here today. If you're like Isaiah, well, go to bed, man. Hey, I drank coffee too late in the day. I can't sleep right now. I'll probably get to bed after the show, but I felt like I had to knock the show out before we called it a night, so that's why we're doing this program. Welcome into the Midnight Express, everybody. My name is Isaiah Leong. Hope all of you guys are doing well here tonight. Like I said earlier, we got a lot of things to touch base on. We got, firings in college football, potential firings that could break, in a few hours in college football. We got the NBA coming back. Yeah, that's right, baby. Round Ball Rock is coming back by John Tesh, and we're going to preview. You guys all know I'm a Lakers fan, so we're going to preview the 2025-2026 NBA season. Not a lot of stuff to get into, so buckle up, grab your coffee, grab your pancakes, grab your breakfast, and enjoy the show here today. If you guys like what you're seeing, go ahead and give me a like. Give me, a follow, give us a subscribe. You can subscribe on the MI6 Sports Network as well as the IM6 Network on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and all the places that you guys get your podcasts, wherever you guys get it. All right, let's get into it. We had some news, big news coming out of Gainesville, Florida earlier on Sunday morning. And that was the big news. I mean, it was expected, but still, it dropped that the Florida Gators have fired head coach Billy Napier. Billy Napier went 22-23 in 4 seasons there at the University of Florida. Florida this year is 3-4. He was coming off a game against Mississippi State in which they got the win, but honestly, they should have lost that game. It was a game in which, Mississippi State had the football at the Florida Gators, I believe, 29-yard line with under 18 seconds to go. And Jeff Levy decides to call the most dumbest play on earth and decide instead of let's run the football and spike it because we're in field goal range to win the game down by 2. They decide, let's throw it. It gets picked off by a Florida Gators defensive lineman to seal the win for Billy Napier. But then Billy Napier gets fired shortly after that game. Okay, my thoughts on the firing of Billy Napier. My thoughts on it is that, to be honest, I'm not surprised whatsoever. I don't think anybody that is living on this earth that follows college football, I don't think that they're surprised by it. This was probably the least surprising firing in college football. Like, if you had told me and asked me, Isaiah, what is a list of candidates that are going to get fired before this or during the season or after the season that you're looking out for before the season started in college football? I would have told you Billy Napier was probably number one on my list. I mean, this dude should have been fired last year. This dude got lucky that he ran off like 4 or 5 wins in a row to save his job. The guy was a dead man walking, and he's been a dead man walking for about a year and a half now. And to be honest, I think what really sunk Billy Napier was the loss at home at the Swamp to the University of South Florida. Number one, when you lose to a in-state rival, that's crushing in of itself. But not only do you lose to an inferior in-state rival, because let's face it, when you look at the rankings of the football programs in the state of Florida, right? It's got to be, I mean, right now it's Miami, but when you talk about brands in general, you got to go with the Gators number one, then two, you can battle this for second place is either Miami, Florida State. Those are 2 and 3, however you like to put it in that order. And then after that, you probably put USF, UCF, FAU in that order. But that's the ranking. So basically, a team that was probably the 5th highest recognized program in the state of Florida went into Gainesville, a historic venue, and beat the Gators. Like, that's unacceptable. Billy Napier was done after that loss. They should have fired him, honestly, after they lost to USF. That wasn't just a crushing, like, no going back type of a loss for Billy Napier. You couldn't survive that. You just could not survive that. And so I thought he was done after that. But then you see what happened after that. They lose to Miami. I mean, Miami looked like the best team in the country for, all of September and October. I know they lost over the weekend, but still, I think they're still one of the best teams in the country. They lost to Miami. They lost to Texas A&M. I think they had one more loss that I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but it wasn't going to get easier for Florida. I mean, they still had Georgia, they still had Ole Miss, they had Tennessee as well. Like, the Gators were going to they were going to lose at least 3 more games. So Billy Napier finishes his tenure 22 and 23. And that's considered subpar, and subpar is not acceptable at the University of Florida. Like, the thing with the University of Florida is they expect to be great, right? Their fan base still remembers the days of Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer and all those days, and they aspire to be at that level. Like, the people of Florida have this level of standards that they're like Georgia and Alabama with Nick Saban, that if you lose one game, that's a big outcry right there. If you lose 2 games, it's like burn everything down. If you lose 3 games, get the hell out of the state and you're banned from the state. Like, that's how great those standards is at the University of Florida. And honestly, it should be, because the University of Florida, when you talk about the Gators, when you talk about the Florida Gators, they're one of the most recognized programs and brands in all of college football and in all of sports as well. Like, people that don't even follow sports, when they see the Gator that you're wearing on your chest, they know it's the University of Florida. So, those are the standards at the University of Florida. And the next coach, like whoever they're going to hire, has to meet those standards, or else it's going to be the same thing like Billy Napier. And I'm telling you right now, if I'm Scott Strickland and the University of Florida, Forget any more of these like middle of the pack, up and coming coaches from like the Sun Belt or Conference USA. No, you're the University of Florida. Quit acting like a freaking mid-major or like a small program. No, quit doing that nonsense. You're the University of Florida. Go out and hire the very, very best to be your head coach. You know why Florida effed up? Because back in 2021, I still remember this vividly. It was Florida and it was LSU. And I think USC was open at the same time. Lincoln Riley, Brian Kelly was out there. And it was rumored, and people can still deny it, but I remember vividly. It was rumored that Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley had reached out to the University of Florida and had said, look, we're interested. And Florida chose Billy freaking Napier over those two candidates. You're Florida. Quit acting like you're a mid-major program. Start acting your weight. Start acting your brand. You're supposed to be like the New York Yankees. You're supposed to be like the Los Angeles Lakers. You're supposed to be like the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Act your weight. Quit acting like a mid-major program. You're Florida, okay? Go out and get the very best. Who cares if these guys look like long shots to come? At least give them a phone call. Quit acting like a mid-major. And that's the problem I have with Florida, is that for so long they've been acting like a mid-major. I mean, look at their like recent coaches. Dan Mullen, I like the Dan Mullen hire, right? But still, getting a coach from Mississippi State, really? Like, I know the connection with Scott Strickland, I get it, but come on, man. Like, Jim McElwain? What? Will Muschamp was a defensive coordinator before he became a first-time head coach there. Jim McElwain, Colorado State at that time. Dan Mullen, Billy Napier. All those guys were either never been a head coach or were from a small market program or a mid-major. That's what Florida's been doing. And that's why in Florida, if they want to get to those standards of Urban Meyer, Steve Spurrier, they got to start acting their way. I know the facilities are great. They got a lot of resources now. So this is a program ready to win. And if they get the right coach, then I think that they can be major players in college football next season and beyond. And in terms of who should be the next head coach at the University of Florida, I got a lot of big candidates in mind. And I think that this also harkens back to the point of, I think Florida needs to start acting their weight and start, acting like a big program, and instead of acting like a mid-major small program, because look who is your rival in the other state next to you. Kirby Smart in Georgia. They've been running the SEC for years and years and years. And they've basically lapped you not just once, but they lapped you twice in terms of just being the better program. So if you want to get to Georgia's level, if you want to match Georgia, what you need to do at the University of Florida is you got to go for the Grand Slam. You got to hire a big time head coach to be able to bring recruits in, bring the talent in, but more importantly, coach up the talent, and more importantly, get you to that championship level that you aspire to be. And so for Florida, you got to go for the Grand Slam to counter Kirby Smart in Georgia. And so for Florida, the candidates that I have in mind is I got 4 candidates in mind. Number 1 on my list would be John Gruden. I would call up John Gruden in an instance and ask him like, hey, bro, come to the University of Florida, please. I'll give you like a 10-year contract. I don't care. 10 years, 100, whatever. What was he getting with the Raiders? 10 years, 100 million? Give John Gruden 10 years, 120 million. Give him all those damn resources. John Gruden, and I've been saying this for years, John Gruden would be an awesome college football coach. The guy's got the personality. The guy is brash. He's rah-rah. Like, that's why Pete Carroll was so good in college football, because he was brash. He was eccentric. He was just high energy. That's John Gruden. That works in college football. Like, college football, it's all about, if John Gruden becomes the head coach of the Gators with all those resources, all those nice facilities, his personality, his energy, like, John Gruden would turn the Gators into a national champion. He would, and I really believe that. Like, and also he would be able to develop quarterbacks, which has been really lacking in Florida. He would get DJ Lagway back on the right track there in Gainesville. He would embrace of constantly beating Kirby Smart. I mean, look what he did with the Chiefs. He still hates the Chiefs with the bitter end, and so he would do that with Georgia. That's the type of coach you need to counter Kirby Smart and Georgia. That's really what you do. And here's the thing: a lot of people are going to go, "Oh, but John Gruden doesn't have college coaching experience." He has a Super Bowl ring on his ring finger. You know what recruits? Sure, I know NIL is great and stuff, but you know players that go to play college football. You know what their end goal is? Their end goal is to be in the NFL. And John Gruden's main selling point to them could be, I won a Super Bowl with the Bucks. Everybody knows who I am. I've coached a lot of great players in the NFL. I can get you to the NFL. It's what Bill Belichick is doing, but it will be even better because of his personality. The thing with Belichick is Belichick has the right playbook of that to get college players to come to your program. You can tell them, you can sell them on that. You can get them to the NFL. But the problem with Belichick is that Belichick is number one, he's too stubborn to adapt. And number two, Bill Belichick doesn't have that personality to thrive in college football. While John Gruden, he has that personality to be able to thrive in college football. And I think he would be a tremendous, tremendous college football coach. So, number one on my list, I would hire John Gruden. That would be the number one candidate for me. Number two on my list, I would hire Lane Kiffin because Lane Kiffin is a star. Lane Kiffin has given Kirby Smart and Georgia a lot of issues recently. Lane Kiffin can put up points, which is what Gator fans want to see. Lane Kiffin is a superstar head coach. I mean, he's got Ole Miss rolling right now. They're on their verge to go into the playoffs. Lane Kiffin would be a terrific fit at Florida with all the resources, his personality, just like Gruden. He's quirky, but he likes to troll. He will embrace the rivalry with Georgia. But I believe that Lane Kiffin would work wonders on Florida. I think that he would also get DJ Lightwood back on the right track. He would bring an exciting offense there to Florida, which is what Gator fans really, really like and want. So I think John Gruden and Lane Kiffin would be my top two candidates at Florida. Number three on my list, Dabo Swinney. I would absolutely give Dabo Swinney a call because I think that Dabo Swinney has plateaued at Clemson. I think that it would be good for him to get a fresh change of scenery. And so I think that, Dabo looks at it as like this. Florida, that job is like, the Lakers, the Cowboys. Whenever those jobs open, people will listen. Will they get it? Will they want to come and uproot their family? I don't know. But I could see Dabo leaving Clemson for the first time because here's why. He knows that Clemson doesn't have the resources to be able to compete with a lot of these big programs in college football. And also, I just think like when you're up, like I always say, when you're at a place for like 10, 15 years, sometimes the voice gets stale. Sometimes it's good to have a change in leadership and it's good to have a change in the voice. So I think Dabo would absolutely do it because this is freaking Florida, okay, we're talking about. So I could see that this job being attracted to a Dabo Swinney. I mean, you were literally like the biggest program in the state of Florida. So you'll be able to get the recruits away from like a Mario Cristobal who's been dominating recruiting right now in Florida. That's also why I think John Gruden would be a good fit and Lane Kiffin as well. So Dabo would be my third call, and then Marcus Freeman. Like Marcus Freeman, superstar head coach. I think his personality works there in Gainesville. He's a fiery guy. He's a guy that, will be able to dominate the state of Florida when it comes to recruiting. He's a defensive-minded coach, however, he's not offense. Like a lot of these candidates that I named, but I still think Marcus Freeman, I mean, that's a superstar right there. You got to go get a superstar coach like that. And then if all else fails, I would go and travel to Southern California and give a bouquet of flowers to Lincoln Riley and say, hey, man, sorry for rejecting you when you first said you were interested in the job. Can you be my head coach now? Because I think Lincoln with Florida would be absolutely deadly. His offense would play there, his mastermind, and you give him that talent that you can get at the University of Florida. I think it would work. But those are the 5 candidates that I think would be great at Florida. That's who I would call if I'm the Florida Gators. John Gruden, Lane Kiffin, Dabo Sweeney, Marcus Freeman, and Lincoln Riley. Those are the candidates. I think that all those candidates would be superstar head coaches at the University of Florida. So those are who I would choose. I don't know about you guys. Feel free to comment down below in the comment section who you guys think should be the next head coach at the University of Florida. And also, what do you guys think about Billy Napier getting fired? Was it the right move for the Gators to do that move here? In the middle of October. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. But those are my candidates for the University of Florida's new head coaching job. All right, let's take a break real quick. I've talked a little bit, 20 minutes. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back with more potential vacancy from Florida. All right, guys. So, also on Sunday, I don't know if many of you guys on Saturday night for me, a lot of you guys Sunday morning, tuned in late to watch that Florida State Stanford game, which was absolutely freaking nuts. If you guys haven't yet, I really recommend you guys to go and check out the highlights of that game. But that was a great game. I mean, that was a phenomenal game. Stanford pulls off one of the biggest upsets this season in college football, beating FSU. And now reports are swirling around Tallahassee that Mike Norvell's tenure at Florida State could be coming to an end. This was the Stanford-Florida State result where Florida State, I mean, they were trailing the entire game. They made it interesting late, but Stanford stops them at the 1-inch line to get the victory, 20-13 over for Florida State in Palo Alto, California. And now here is the news right now. Pete Nakos of On3.com. He does a great job there covering college football for On3 Sports. He said that Florida State's decision makers are holding informal phone calls this morning to discuss the future under Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell's buyout is north of $54.4 million. FSU is 1-11 in ACC play during the last 2 seasons, and Mike Norvell has not won an ACC game in over a year. Also later, a tweet from On3 Sports and Pete Nakos is that sources tell Pete Nakos momentum continues to build from Florida State's decision makers to move on from Mike Norvell. The all-in cost to fire Norvell / his staff and make next hire is in the $100 million range. Wow. So a lot of information to digest there. My FSU potentially could be firing Mike Norvell this morning. They didn't make a decision on Sunday. No decision was coming on Sunday, but it's reported that this could be resolved in the next 24 to 48 hours. So keep an eye on this because I think that we're going to be having news one way or the other. Either Norvell's going to keep his job till the end of the season or Norvell's going to get the boot. Here's the thing. My take on this is that I've always thought that Norvell was overrated. I never really liked the hire of Norvell at Florida State. I thought Florida State should be like Florida, where it's a big-time brand, big-time program. You got to act your weight. And the thing with Florida State is you hired the coach from Memphis. Like, I know he's a hot candidate, and this is what drives me crazy a lot of the times, is a lot of these schools that are big brands like a Florida State, they hire these coaches from like the mid-majors, even Auburn, for example. They hired a Brian Harsin, remember that, from Boise State, who had no experience whatsoever coaching in the South. They hire Brian Harsin, and then they're like, whoa, in a few years, they're like, wow, why did it not work out? Because you literally hired someone from a mid-major. Like, why are you hiring these mid-major coaches? Like, I get that they might be the next big thing, or they're the up and comer. Look at Urban Meyer at Utah, but a lot more times than not, a lot of these like mid-major coaches that go to these big programs, big brands, they never work out. Like, it's time for these programs to start hiring the established coaches. Like, start hiring the established coaches. And so I've never really liked Norvell. He doesn't recruit well. He always relies on the transfer portal. And that's the problem. When you're always relying on the transfer portal, the thing with the transfer portal is sometimes you spend all your money in the transfer portal and it doesn't work out. Like, the players don't turn out to be as great as you think they were. And then like it just doesn't work out. That's why you got to recruit, you got to develop, that's how you grow the program. And then you look at Norvell's tenure there, like he's only had two winning seasons there at Florida State. 6 years Florida State. Last year, he I don't think he won a game against a Power Four opponent last year. He beat Bama this year, and everybody's like, "Oh, FSU is back! FSU is back! Let's go!" But guess what? They forgot that they have to play the rest of the season, and guess what? Now Florida State has lost 4 in a row. And you look at the teams that they have faced. It's not like they've played LSU, Georgia, Clemson, whatever. No, they've played freaking. I mean, the one team on that's the 4-game losing skid that I'll give them. I will excuse them from flack for is Miami. But other than that, lost to Virginia. Let's face it, Virginia's not that great. You lost to Pitt, like at home too. And you lose to Stanford. And Stanford is arguably one of the worst programs, not only in the ACC, but in all of college football. They're awful. Like, they're got an interim coach. They are playing without their starting quarterback, I believe, in that game. They have most of their offensive line was out. I mean, their best defensive lineman transferred before the season started. So like Stanford's a mess, and they're going to get a new head coach. Or, I mean, Frank Reich's done a remarkable job, but I think they're going to get a new head coach either way. You lost to that team, and there was like really nobody at the farm. Like, it was like Penn State losing to UCLA. Like, I don't care how down you are, you're still Penn freaking State. You can't lose to UCLA with a stadium that's half empty. Like, you're Florida State. You can't lose to Stanford, like, with the stadium that's literally half empty. So this was a really bad loss. This is a loss that I think will sink Mike Norvell. I don't believe that Mike Norvell, sadly, will recover from this. I'll tell you guys this right now. I think Mike Norvell has coached his final game at Florida State. I mean, they tried everything last year. They changed the coordinators. Gus Malzahn took over as offensive coordinator. Tony White took over as defensive coordinator. They recruited a lot of players from the transfer portal to come to play at FSU. It just hasn't worked out. And sadly, like, you pressed all the buttons, you changed up the staff. Now it's on the head coach. You've changed everybody but the head coach, and now you're still 3-4. Like, it's on the head coach now. And I think that, I would be shocked if Norvell didn't get the boot in the later hours today. I think sadly this situation just has gone beyond repair. Especially like when your athletic department is having discussions about your future and your AD is talking to boosters about your future, it's just a matter of when, not if, that you're going to be fired. Like James Franklin last week, like there were reports in the morning that Penn State's athletic department and boosters were having conversations about his future. And then 2 hours later, he was gone. It's only a matter of when, not if, that Mike Norvell will be out in Tallahassee. And good riddance, because I don't think that he's the right guy for the program. I think he's a decent coach, but I think at an FSU you need a big name to coach in Tallahassee there. And so for me, my top candidate for FSU would be this man right here, Deion Sanders. That would be my top candidate for FSU. And I've been saying that since last year. Deion Sanders needs to be the head coach at FSU. Look, Deion, when he's got talent, he wins. Deion can get the talent. I mean, the guy got Travis Hunter to flip from FSU to coach to be at Jackson State. He's got a great eye for talent. I mean, he recruited Cormani McClain, who's now in Florida, who's a top corner. Like, he'll get the big time recruits to come to FSU. He will do what Mike Norvell could not do, which is bringing the talent at Florida State. And that's what you need. Like, we talk about Florida, right? Like, they need to get a coach who can coach up the talent, but also can get the talent and be that big personality. That's what FSU needs as well. They need a guy that can come in and get the recruits. Like, you need to start challenging Mario Cristobal and Miami when it comes to recruiting. So I think Deion Sanders would be a great fit personality wise. He knows the school. He's an alum. He will be very passionate about winning championships at Florida State. He will be a guy that I think that FSU definitely has to consider bringing. Like, they have to bring him back. Like, this is what you need right now at Florida State. He can get the talent there. I think Deion would be a tremendous fit at Florida State, and I think that he would do wonders there for that program. But yeah, I think Deion Sanders needs to be the head coach at Florida State. There's talks about bringing Jimbo back. Like, sadly, I mean, I like Jimbo, but his offense is so outdated. He just not he's a boring personality, it seems like. Like, I think you need some fresh energy there at FSU. It's gotten too stale, and Deion would certainly bring that energy to FSU. So for me, I want Deion Sanders to be the next head coach at FSU. I think this job is going to be open. I think it's only a matter of time until it opens. So for me, give me Deion Sanders as the next head coach at Florida State. All right. So we talked about Florida. We talked about Florida State. Let's get into some of the other potential job openings that there's been rumblings about. I'm not gonna get into much detail about them or candidates. I'll just give you my quick thoughts on it. Jay Norvell at Colorado State. I mean, I'm not really surprised that he got fired. I mean, he was there for 4 years, never really did anything there. They gave him more than enough time, so that's a tough place. They don't really have a lot of resources there. Spend a lot in NIL, so that's a really tough place. So tough firing for him. Auburn. Thing with Auburn is, Auburn is like Florida, but they are very much less patient than Florida is. I mean, they are a program that if you don't win 11 to 12 or 10, 11, 12 games a year, your ass is on the hot seat. And that's the thing with Auburn is you can have consistent 8 wins, 9 wins, whatever, 8 wins, 9 wins. They expect 10, 11, 12 wins a year. And they expect to be playing in the college football playoff each and every year and competing for championships. That's who Auburn thinks they are. They think they are Bama with Nick Saban. But sadly, that's not the case. And sadly, Hugh Freeze is an okay coach. I think his offense is kind of outdated. Sadly, I think they can move on the quarterback. I've never really been a fan of Jackson Arnold. I don't think he can throw. I think he's a terrific runner, but I don't think he's that great of a passer, and that's what you need to win in modern day college football. But I think that Hugh Freeze, I could see him being let go just because I don't think the boosters are that patient there. They haven't really had a guy that, besides Malzahn, that lasted more than 2 or 3 years. So I could see that opening. And I mean, imagine Auburn, Florida, FSU. I mean, Penn State. I mean, wow, there'll be so many just golden openings in college football. This might be one of the craziest coaching cycles that we've seen. But yeah, I think it will open. Sadly, I think that the boosters are just not patient. And I think that they're probably gonna let Freeze go. I think it's just a matter of when, not if, for him. Wisconsin. I'm shocked as hell that Luke Fickell has not been fired yet. And I'll tell you why. Because Iowa, they played against Iowa last week. Like they lost to Ohio State. They got drubbed by Ohio State. Like I'm not shocked whatsoever. Like, I mean, you played against Ohio State. You get against a team that is our country and you got drubbed. Okay, so what? It's not that worries me. It's the game against Iowa from last week where everything's going bad for Wisconsin and you played against Iowa, a team that Iowa's highest point total they've scored in a single game is from the last 5 years. Any guesses? It's 25. And guess what? They allowed Iowa to freaking score 25 in the first half alone. They were down like 25-0 at that point. And they end up losing 37-0 to Iowa. Like, this is the most points Iowa has probably scored in the last like 7-10 years. They're not known for offense at all. In fact, that's what's been holding them back. It's the offense being so bad. Like, and you gave up 37 points to them. Like, I understand being shut out. They have a damn good defense, but giving up 37 points and getting whacked like that, that's a fireable offense. Like, I'm shocked Luke Fickell still has a job. I mean, the only reason that he still has is because Wisconsin Wisconsin just they might not have the money. I don't know, but I just don't think you can keep him. Like you talk about progress. I mean, he was on the hot seat last year. They didn't get to a bowl game. They released a statement saying they were very disappointed, but they end up keeping him. But now they're not making a move, and it's gotten worse. I feel like under Fickle, and the schedule's brutal moving forward. I don't know what you do, honestly. I think they're going to open. I think that's a pro. I don't think he's going to survive there. I think that sadly, it's just a matter of when, not if, that he's gone. But yeah, I think Wisconsin's going to open up pretty soon. All right, let's get into Bill Belichick, North Carolina. There's a big saga. Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick. I'm not even going to get into it. There's a lot of rumors about toxic locker room and all that stuff. Like, listen, people are like saying, "Oh, Belichick. Oh, look at them. They lost to Cal. That's proof that Belichick, Belichick, the toxic locker room. They didn't lose because of that. They lost because the players fumbled the football. Like, if that guy doesn't fumble the football, that receiver that caught the ball, if he doesn't fumble the football at the in the end zone when he's about to score." Carolina's winning that game, like plain and simple. I think for Belichick, they're showing progress there. That showed progress. That was probably one of their closest game against Power 4 opponent. And they showed progress. Okay. Cal's a good team. All right. Cal's a good team. So they showed progress. And, with Belichick, I mean, what else can you ask for? You were in position to win that game. So I think Belichick definitely is going to last through the season. The only question for me is is North Carolina going to fire Belichick because I don't think they can afford it. Is Bell going to leave for the NFL? And I could see it because I could see like the Dolphins, right? Their owner likes the big name, the big fish, no pun intended. I could see him wanting Belichick. I mean, he pursued Sean Payton a few years back. I could see the Dolphins doing something like that. A disciplinarian in Belichick could be needed in Miami. New York, maybe. I could see that. John Mara, Bill Belichick, they're really good friends. So I could see that right there. But I don't think like Belichick will leave or will get fired by Carolina. I think that that situation, I don't think they can afford to fire him there. LSU. This is tough. I love Brian Kelly, and I really desperately want to see Brian Kelly succeed at LSU. Like, I applauded when LSU made the hire. I was like, damn, Scott Woodward, he's got big balls, he's going out for the home run hire, which he should, because this is LS freaking U. Like, thank God. Hasn't worked out, not because normally it's because the defense is bad. That's why LSU keeps losing. But now it's the offense that is freaking horrible for LSU. I think that number one, I think the buyout might be too great for Brian Kelly. But here's the thing. If they've lost 2 games right now, they're scheduled down the road in end of October, November. It's very tough. If they lose, this team was a lot of people, including myself, picked to win the to pick to at least go to the college football playoff. dark horse to go to the Natty, and my pick to win the college football national title. If you not only do you miss the playoffs, but if you lose 4 to 5 games this year, you lose 2 or 3 more games, and you lose 4 or 5, and you finish 7 and 5. I don't know if LSU has a choice. I think they might have to, because last year they disappointed when a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna get in." Um, I don't know if you can afford, I don't know if you can afford not to. Sadly, like Penn State already, footed a $49 million buyout to James Franklin. FSU might do the same for Mike Norvell. They might pay $58 million. I don't know if you can afford not to. Like, you're freaking LSU. And this is the new college football that I talked to you guys about. Everybody talks about transfer portal, NIL, all this stuff. Big coaches getting big money. This is going to be the new college football where you're going to see coaches get it doesn't matter the buyout. You could have a $70 million buyout, and if let's say you're at a program like LSU and you lose 7 games, your ass is getting fired. Doesn't matter. So as much as I want Brian Kelly to succeed, and I'm rooting for him hard, if you lose 2 or 3 more games, you miss the playoffs, you end up with a really low bowl game. I think LSU will do it, and I think it will come open, sadly. And I think that's the situation I want to avoid, because I really like Brian Kelly. I want him to succeed, but how can you not do it at that point? All right, let's talk USC. Lincoln Riley, I mean, he's an honorable mention, but I mean, a lot of SC fans are pissed off at him for that play call. You lost to Notre Dame. You've got 2 losses now on your schedule. The schedule, well, I'm getting sleepy off, but the schedule down the road for USC is not very kind. They have games against Nebraska still coming up. They have Dylan Raiola in Nebraska in Nebraska. I think that's going to be a hard game for USC right there. They also have a game against Iowa, which I think will be very tough because that was a really good defensive team. They have they have Oregon at Oregon, and then UCLA to finish the season. If you lose 4 games, if you lose 2 of those games and you fall to 8-4, I don't know what Lincoln Riley's buyout is. I don't know if it's the same thing like LSU. Like, if you lose 5 games at USC, that's considered a crime. That's basically like a guaranteed you're fired type of a thing. If he finishes that, I don't know what the buyout is. I know they changed defensive coordinators. They changed quarterbacks. He's a big time name, and I know me and my guy James Gonzalez was debating this. That's another tough one. I don't see it opening just because it's Lincoln Riley. I could see a situation where Lincoln's like, screw this, I'm going to the NFL. I could see that. I really could. That's the USC and LSU one is going to be really tough, but because I think they made the right move by going after the big name, which is what you needed. But I honestly still think USC screwed up. I would have gone Jack Del Rio, because I think you need to, for USC, they've always been known as a power running football team that dominates the trenches, dominates West Coast recruiting. They're not doing that. They're not dominating West Coast recruiting. They're very soft on the trenches. They run an air raid offense, which isn't like them in the past. They need to get back to those days. And I think that's what, if you're USC, that's what you really need to get to if you want. And then I'll probably say another honorable mention is Arizona with Brent Brennan. I mean, he wasn't hired by that administration. I could see him getting let go if things turn sour there in Tucson. But let's get away from coaches, firings, and stuff, and let's get to some NBA, baby. That's right. The Los Angeles Lakers, folks. Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, Dalton Connect, and the Los Angeles Lakers begin our 2025 to 2026 season coming up on Tuesday night. You guys know I'm a big Lakers fan. Big Lakers fan. And so Actually, before we get into our last segment, which is the NBA segment, we are going to take one last commercial break. I promise you it will be the last one before we get into our NBA talk. All right, guys, welcome back. And Lakers, Luca, baby, number 77. The season begins on Tuesday. Lakers, Warriors. It's going to be so much fun. Cannot wait for it in LA. I'm definitely going to be rocking my Lakers Luca Doncic jersey. But yeah, let's preview the season. Look, the Lakers lost in the first round to the Minnesota Timberwolves in 5 games in the NBA playoffs last spring. Look, the big issue was the big, right? But the Lakers went out. They got DeAndre Ayton, who got released and bought out by the Portland Trailblazers. DeAndre Ayton, former #1 overall pick, is now going to be our starting center. JJ Redick returns for his second season as a head coach of the Lakers. Signed an extension in the offseason as well, which I don't know why, but we're not going to get into that. The Lakers also added Marcus Smart, a wing, to help out, as well as savvy defender Jake LaRavia, who is a 3-and-D guy, to help out as well. While most of the team has stayed. Look, the 3 things that I want to see from the Lakers this season is, number 1, I want to see this team be a Luka-led team. Like, we know it's going to be a LeBron. LeBron's going to be out for, I think the first month of the season. But so it's going to be on Luka. It's going to be the Luka Doncic show. And I'm excited to rock my number 77 Luka Doncic Lakers jersey and, see this Luka Doncic Lakers show explode. And I can't wait to see it. I want to see the Lakers, the pick and pop with DeAndre Ayton. I want to see, Austin Reeves. I think that it will really help guys like a Jake LaRavia. I like the Jake LaRavia signing. I think he's a really good 3-and-D player. Will really help on the defensive end of the floor for the Lakers. But, I'm ecstatic. I think that Luka with DeAndre Ayton, I think it's going to be a deadly combination. And then you have to focus on your attention on Luka. Well, guess what? You got LeBron coming back, and that's going to be deadly when that does. And that LeBron and Luka duo in year 2 with more chemistry, I think it's going to be even better and better and better. But you got other guys like Dalton Knecht, I think will be a big part of this team. Guys like Gabe Vincent on the defensive end, I think he's going to be great for the Lakers. But yeah, but with LeBron out, though, you're going to have guys like Jake LaRavia. You're going to have guys like Dalton Knecht that's going to have to step up, right? And I think Dalton Knecht, this is your make or break moment. And I've said this. Look, Dalton Knecht hit the game win or game time shot last preseason game, in the last preseason game in which the Lakers unfortunately ended up losing. But Knecht tied it, and I said, look, that pin down action where he comes off the screen, he catches the ball and just fires it for 3. Like, that's how you need to use Dalton Knecht. It's all about movement with him, right? He's a movement shooter. You got to have him in movement, running around, off the pin downs, off screens like Ray Allen, Klay Thompson. That's how he is effective. Like, he's not effective just by standing in the corner and be like, hey, pass me the ball. No, that's not how he is. He needs to be effective. Like, I think he's going to be a big part of our team. I think year 2, I'm excited to see what Dalton does in year 2. I hope JJ uses him right. I hope he plays him a lot of minutes because he definitely deserves it. We need some scoring off the bench, and I think Dalton is one of the most dynamic scorers on our team. He's got the talent. I know a lot of people are down on him, but just watch. Dalton Knecht will explode this season, and guys like Jackson Hayes off the bench, I think will really help. Jake LaRavia as well. For the Lakers, Austin Reeves, I think, I can't wait to see this guy this kid can continue his ascend up and up. I mean, he's just been ascending throughout. His ability to shoot, his ability to get to the rim, his ability to make the tough, turn around, spin, fadeaway shots. I mean, I can't wait to see that unfold in LA. But yeah, I think that it's gonna be a good season for the Lakers. Number one, I can't wait to see the Lakers, the Luka show in LA, in year two. I think the second goal for me is I want to see DeAndre Ayton be a great defender on defense because that's what we need. Like, we know DeAndre Ayton can score, but his issue in Phoenix and in Portland has been the defense. Like, can he defend? And he's going to have to defend against some of these really good centers at a really high level. So I think that, I want to see how he does on that end, like blocking shots. I mean, he doesn't even have to block a lot of shots. He just has to change the trajectory of those shots. And I want to see that from him. Plus, like I said, offensively, him and Luka, that's going to be deadly. I can't wait to see that. And then I think that the third takeaway that the third thing that I would do want to see from the Lakers, we talked about Connect, we talked about Ayton, we talked about Luka, we talked about Reeves, is I really want to see this year two JJ Redick offense. Like, how is it? We saw with Anthony Davis and Luka, or Anthony Davis and LeBron, how it was. And then, they didn't really have time with Luka. I want to see how it is now with this guard-centric team that we have, and how JJ coaches, what his principles are on the offensive side of the ball. I know he's great defensively, but I want to see what he is on the offensive side of the ball. So it's going to be a great season. I can't wait to see, my, player that I think that a lot of people are really sleeping on is Dalton Connect. And I'm going to keep saying it. I think Dalton Connect is going to be a big contributor for the Lakers. Jake LaRavia as well. I think Marcus Smart's going to really help on defense. I think that, DeAndre Ayton, I expect him to, average a double-double. Like, I think he's going to have a big season for the Lakers. So it's going to be a great year for the Lakers. If I had to give a prediction, ladies and gentlemen, I think that my prediction for the Los Angeles Lakers record I think my prediction for the Lakers, I'm going to go I think the Lakers win 48 games this year. If I had to give an honest prediction, I think we go 48 and try to do the math. There's 82 games. You know what? I'm going to give them one more win, 49. So 49 wins. 49 and 33. I think we go 49 and 33 and get one of the top four seeds in the Western Conference. So that's my prediction for your Los Angeles Lakers. It's going to be a great year. I think if I had to give some predictions, team MVP, I'm going to go with, you know what? We'll say that for the NBA show. But guys, it's been a fun night. It's been a fun early morning show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to the Midnight Express. I know we had a lot. We did this late, but hey, man, we got through it. I'm feeling sleepy now, so thank you everybody for putting me to bed. But until then, guys, stay safe, stay healthy. Welcome back. Round Ball Rock by John Tesh. NBA on NBC is back. And enjoy this great sports week. I mean, football, basketball, baseball, game 7 tomorrow or today. Potential firings, who knows? And Monday Night Football, NBA, woo, and then NHL. Can't forget about them. It's going to be a great sports week, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great morning and enjoy what's going to be a fabulous week in sports. Good night and good morning.